When Arthur Demarest was 4 years old, he dreamed about becoming an archaeologist. Today, at age 37, he is living his childhood dream.
It's been a 24-hour job, and I'm getting, 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night.
During the school year, Arthur Demarest is an anthropology professor at Vanderbilt University. In the summer, you can find him out here in the jungles of Guatemala. Since the age of 10, Dr. Demarest has been interested in the ancient Mayan Indians. Before the birth of Christ, the Maya built hundreds of cities in Central America and Mexico. Their pyramids towered above the trees. While Europe languished in the Dark Ages, the Maya were studying astronomy, mathematics, and art. They lived by a calendar the equal of ours and developed a sophisticated system of writing. But then around 800 AD, something happened. One by one, many of the great cities were abandoned. Their civilization collapsed, and to this day, no one knows why.
Why do you have a society as sophisticated as this, with all of its achievements, that suddenly and rapidly disintegrates?
Dr. Demarest has spent his life trying to solve this ancient mystery.
Very few civilizations fall apart this abruptly.
For years, archaeologists have studied the great Mayan city of Tikal. Their research has led many to believe that the Maya were peace-loving people with limited warfare, indicating war was not the cause for their collapse.
And in the end, it just all fell apart like a popped balloon.
Dr. Demarest believes otherwise. He thinks war played a major role.
I think probably the most dramatic and clear-cut evidence we have on that is in the Dos Pilas area.
For centuries, the Mayan city of Dos Pilas has been buried in the jungle. Just to get there is like something out of an Indiana Jones movie. From Tikal, Dos Pilas is a full day's journey away. The first leg of the trip is a 4-hour ride on a dirt road until you come to a small town called Sayas-Che.
Sayas-Che is the end of the road. It's really great when you see it because it looks like the end of the road. This is it.
From Sayas-Che, the journey continues by boat. The boat ride will last 3 hours. Back on land, you begin your trek into a mahogany rainforest, where many of the trees are more than 400 years old. Dos Pilas is straight ahead, 5 hours away in a snake-infested jungle.
We went past a boa constrictor, about 5 inches wide and 7 feet long, almost stepped on it. Saw a giant coral snake. Nature is this giant plot to reduce you to soil. The jungle is so dense, it envelops so much that it's quite possible that you would go walking right past a very large Maya city and not even know it.
Underneath this dense foliage lies an ancient pyramid, one of many found in Dos Pilas. Inside it lies the tomb of an ancient Mayan king.
I don't know. They must have wanted to bury this guy in a hurry. Maybe it's not going to be ruler two. Given the quality of the construction, Phil, I think it might well be his idiot cousin, Ralph.
The Guatemalan government has given Dr. Demarest an exclusive permit to dig at Dos Pilas and the surrounding area.
I mean, I have a territory. It includes at least 6 major Maya centers and all of the territory in between it.
Being trusted with such history goes beyond his wildest dreams.
It's almost out of hand. I mean, it's almost like being strapped to the front of a locomotive. It's scary. Pero no cree que el muro puede ser por coincidencia una línea de piedras. This project is huge. We've put together the best team of specialists that I think's ever been brought together in one project.
80 workers and 23 specialists from around the world make up the Demarest team.
Okay, yeah.
Takashi Inomato's job is to map the area.
This is the very first step of archaeological work to make map, and then you can start excavation.
Below ground, Jim Brady explores a cave.
The most important gods to the Maya, those connected with agricultural and fertility and rain, are all connected with the earth, and caves such as this were the entryway to the gods.
And David Stewart's job is to decipher hieroglyphics left by the Maya.
And then it says, Tzapach u Tetun. It was erected, the tree stone. And that's what the Maya called these upright slabs, were tree stones.
Many of the laborers hired to excavate the ruins are themselves descendants of the ancient Maya. They live in a small village a few miles away from Dos Pilas.
These are the poor people, presumably, if architecture means anything, and this is the middle class.
The specialists live in Dos Pilas at a camp made of mahogany.
We are really wrestling with major intellectual problems that are of interest to everyone. Why do civilizations arise, and why do civilizations collapse?
One of the most significant discoveries so far is this ancient stairway that once led up to a palace.
This area seems to hold the key to the Maya collapse.
On each step, they found hieroglyphics which support the theory of war.
A new hieroglyphic stairway, which in and of itself would be a major discovery, but beyond that, it records a war with Tikal.
Half of the stairway is covered with stones, which Dr. Demarest finds interesting.
This low stone rubble here is the remains, the bottom part of a defensive wall that held a wooden palisade and that ran around the center of the site when Dos Pilas was besieged. That wall runs right smack across the hieroglyphic stairway and up through the middle of the royal palace.
Dr. Demarest found that the stones used to make this defensive wall were robbed from the adjacent buildings.
The impression that one gets is of a truly desperate siege.
Apparently, what started out as a ritual game played by kings ended in war. For centuries, the Maya captured each other's rulers and publicly sacrificed them during religious rituals. Dr. Demarest believes around 800 AD, this ritual game intensified and total war broke out throughout the kingdom.
And I think that kind of warfare with that kind of impact on settlement patterns cannot work in the jungle. If you concentrate population into defensive centers, you tend to overexploit the landscape around you and ruin the soils. Soils here are very thin. The jungle's a very fragile environment.
The soil was ruined, making food scarce, causing cities to be abandoned, which Dr. Demarest believes led to the Maya collapse. He hopes to prove this theory within the next few years, but perhaps even more important is something he has already learned. It's about our own lives, our own civilization, and taking them for granted.
You learn as an archaeologist when you actually study and you see the physical remains of civilization after civilization that endured for longer than our own, that were just as self-confident as our own, and that completely unraveled and were, like this one, gobbled up by the jungle. That gives you a deep feeling for the fact that we really can blow it.